Yes, we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday tea time, Ascension Talk. Let's see if this audio is working. Welcome, everyone. Welcome with this crystalline golden diamond heart. So much love. I see 3 people are here. So welcome. Introduce yourselves. Tell me who's in the house. Hello, Caitlin. Much love. Thank you so much for joining in. I want to be sure my audio is working today. I am in our bedroom sharing this Friday Tea Time Ascension Talk. Hello, Blenda. So much love. Hello. Happy Venus Friday, everyone. It's working good. Good. Oh, that's right, Belinda. You're from Texas. Bless you. Thank you so much. Today, it's me doing this Ascension Talk as Michael is at his mother's house. They went to pick up the ashes of his father today. And so he had to be there with his mom, as we'll be taking the ashes with us this coming next week when we go to North Carolina. We're so excited to honor his beautiful earthly body and to take it to the places that meant so much to him, as we'll be leaving with my sons, and this would be our first family trip. So welcome, everybody. Let's see who else is joining us, and let's see, what tea are you drinking? I am having a orange blossom ginger tea. I love this combination. I just love the scent of bergamot, and particularly that scent of orange blossom is quite remarkable. So I would love to know what you're having, so we can just relax back, have a nice talk with each other. As today I also have my talking stick that my sacred sister Terry-Lynn from south of France had made for me, because I have my wild feline here today. There's much to be shared here through this. And I just felt this talking stick had to be here, because it really, there's much to share. There's much to share for this coming weekend, particularly, the Magdalene Feast is actually on Monday, but the energy, there are many gatherings on Saturday and Sunday globally to honor this Magdalene presence on the planet. So, and I feel like there's something with this wooden talking stick and of course the turquoise crystals to help get the voice out, and the feathers representing the freedom and liberation. Hi, Maida, so much love. I didn't bring this with us in Toronto. Next time, this is what Terry-Lynn had made. So much love, everyone. So tell me first, what tea are you drinking? Do you have, yeah, Maida. So we just came from Toronto. Our beautiful sister Maida that had hosted us in her incredible sacred sanctuary in her home, opening up that space for Michael and I to help support her, as well as transmute a lot of energies in that entire area, together with the family of that, the star seeds, the light workers that were called to come there and work specifically with that powerful grid of tornado that, when you look at it, actually looks like a rose. Let me see if I can pull the image up for you for a second, because it is quite an amazing visualization for you to see. Let me see, just 1 minute. I have it somewhere here. Yep. So see if you can see this. You see this? This is one of the grids that is in this is in Toronto particularly, and this is where the Niagara Falls where we were was right here. That's when we did our planetary work on Wednesday and we returned. And this is the generator rose that we were working with, which was quite incredible. And from here, when we leave next week, afterwards we're placed on 8-8 and a very specific portal in North America that is connecting to the Glastonbury, and is then connecting down south to, well, diagonally to Egypt. And this all has to do with the Atlantean energy that we help in transmuting and transcending. Hi, Sunshine Live. Much love. Oh, Maida, you're having masala chai. I love masala chai. Let me put the music back on. So Maida had a chance to, we're so grateful, Maida, for you inviting us so we can be service to others, as there was this incredible transformation that took place there was this incredible transformation that took place for those who attended, and we're still getting the emails and responses. And usually that's what happens when we come together, as Michael does his private transformational healing sessions, whether it's with Archangel Michael or shamanic clearing, or even the art of divine lessening. And I do facilitate the event with the LICO transmission activations. So really, really incredible. We ourselves are, as we got back Wednesday night, we had to, because we had Wednesday dedicated in Niagara Falls to do our planetary work. And for those of you who did not know, it was so beautiful because where we were in Niagara Falls, our hotel was right across the Rainbow Bridge. And beforehand, Team Above had said it's so important to anchor the energies of the crystalline diamond codes and the white golden rose at the Rainbow Bridge, because the Rainbow Bridge represents the bridge between America and Canada. And these two big continents it's one gigantic continent, literally, but this ginormous land is very important to assist in the prophecies of the rainbow people, the rainbow tribe, to come, the bird people, the bird nations that are connecting. And this really today represents that also represents the freedom of the Magdalene wings, which I'll talk about in a minute. And to also really honor this. And what was so beautiful for us, what we noticed at Niagara Falls, that tranquility, the amount of multi-nationalities, the kindness, like the rainbow spectrum of colors of people representing the multi-rays of colors that we represent. And as all these colors blend together to create this white spectrum of light, which is so beautiful, because when it comes together, when it alchemizes, it's gold and it's white, and it goes to all these other spectrums of colors. So we got a chance to use this one particular crystal that I've finished with all the work with crystals, but this one was important to be dropping it into the water. And the water was very significant because, again, I've been working and dedicated to the Magdalene frequency for 7.5 years, the rose line, the rose dragon line, and to activate the voice of the Magdalene. And the water is such an important representation of what is being washed, what is being transformed, what has to clear, which I'll get more in details about that in a little while into our talk, in this Ascension talk, because it ties into this weekend with this Magdalene Feast and what is really coming up and what the feast really represented, and how we're part of that change. So it was so beautiful, and there was quite a bit of rain in Niagara Falls, and we had a chance to cross the border and just feel the spirit of the wind as we put our prayers in there. And I had asked earlier for an invisible shield to place around us so that we can easily do our work. And the work is to rise, is to help transform all these energies, to help support the cities of light that are coming forward. So it couldn't be more magical and couldn't be more grateful that Maida hosted us so that we can be service to herself, service to her community, service to that generator energy and I'm gonna say tornado. Isn't that interesting? Tornado, Toronto, some interesting, that spinning energy. And then bringing it back here, as we integrated sort of yesterday, for those of you who got a chance to see us be on the paddleboard yesterday, having our breakfast and morning prayer there. And Michael left yesterday, so I've been with my children. and one of them is still sleeping. So that's why I'm doing the Friday tea time here. So that way they can just have their own teenage amazing time. So I can have my time with you. This video angle is very interesting here. I'm not used to this so much. And it's kind of interesting holding it. Whenever I talk in my public speaking over the years, I have refused to use microphone as it just feels very strange. But there is something with this one between tea and this. And I wanted to allow my hair to be its natural presence. This is my natural hair, by the way. It's wild, it's bushy, it's untamed. And I felt it was so significant for it to also be exactly this for today. Hello, Dimitris. Happy Friday. Because I want to speak a little bit around these frequencies. So before I begin, let's ask about you. So there are all of these planets going retrograde. I've pulled completely all my attention from just all the planets, even full moons, new moons. I've completely withdrawn my attention there. Very focused on still some of the gateways and the stargates. That's what connects with me very deeply as I've released the rest of it. As we did our live stream with Michael yesterday, like this was the easiest, more peaceful eclipse that I've ever experienced, because I feel so much of the shadow work was done before. So we really went into it with so much love. And that's the opportunity, because most people get so scared of eclipses, and there's this collective consciousness, oh my gosh, it's full moon and it's a retrograde and it's the eclipse. And so as a result, because the collective energy, and predominantly a lot more women are tuned into that, they start picking that sort of like hysteria of consciousness, and then they're very deeply affected by it. So I have completely let all of that go. And to me is, okay, in the human incarnate, what is the most important thing? The most important thing for me is to serve and serve my calling. And serve my calling is to be in that presence and allow the material to come in, and for me to be of service of it and share it. And specifically, some of the stargates or the gateways, those are frequencies in which these light streams, light codes are coming in even more strongly. So I can tune into them as a transmitter, as an activator, to receive them and bring them onto the planet. The rest of it, I let go. And so I wanted to find out from you, because many of you are actually affected by the retrogrades or by the, you know, the eclipses and full moons. How you all doing? Before I get into everything else. By the way, Dimitris, Andra, as you're getting it, this is my talking stick that my dear secret sister 4 years ago had made for me, Terry Lynn from south of France. So I'm speaking with talking stick today. And yeah, and my feline, I'm really, really embracing my Lyran galactic beingness today. So how you all doing? Let's see. So, hi, Caitlin. Michael is not here. I know he's with his mother today. They're at the morgue picking up the ashes. So, he sends his love to everyone. Happy Friday to you, Belinda. Thank you for joining. Okay, thank you. It's working. Maida, we said hello. Hello, sunshine. You keep shining, sister. So much love. Hello, Demetrius. So much love, Demetrius. Sacred One is from London. He's here. Angela, hello. Thank you so much, Angela. So much love. Deep gratitude. Good day to everyone. Caitlin, I'm feeling good with all that's happened. Good, Caitlin. That's wonderful. Super awesome talking stick. Yeah, lighter. Like, yeah. Don't I look like... It feels a little bit like I feel better if I had a little bit of this here and a lot more here. The Lyrans are mostly cat, feline looking, but they're also bird tribes too. Michelle, hi, love. Michelle's one of my best friends. So much love. Hi, Michelle. I have my Lyran feline galactic look with the talking stick. Welcome, welcome. So much love. So, Angela, you say you feel a bit off center changes. Okay. Sunshine says, I've been feeling tired and much integrating good. Okay, so that's what I wanted to find out. As all these planets are going retrograde with the eclipse, just wanted to see how you were doing, because Michael and I were completely removed from it. And even when we came, we had amazing just tuning in and coming in, especially at the waterfall. I had so much love when I get a chance to see like beloved Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, all around the water, and they each had their sacred rose like this, and they were infusing the light into that water in Niagara Falls, and I was like, wow, all of these people are being blessed, like blasted by this present. What an incredible gift to be here to just be a witness of this. And again, the eclipse for me was the light side of the light of the eclipse. It is important to embrace our shadow side so we can access our light, absolutely, because we're all going to the light. But these are the shadow aspects of ours is equally divine, and it's so important because often we push that away. So I felt I wanted to talk a little bit about that before I get to the Magdalene Feast energy here. So let's see what you're saying. Sunshine, you love my hair. Thank you. Um, I'm actually leaving it like this. I don't particularly like it, Sunshine. This frequency, when it's like this, I feel like my antennas are way too open. I receive even more um, downloads coming in, and it makes me a little bit neurotic. And I'm already very uh, hypered often, and sort of like spinning really fast. So I like blow drying my hair straight because it calms my system. This for today I have it, but it will make me like I literally feel crazy. So I don't really like that feeling. But for now, I left it. And part of it is this is the hair that I had all in my teenage years. And I had a really difficult teenage years in here as an immigrant and all the challenges faced. So um, there's a part of me when there's a part of me that I know also has to heal because um, it taps into the areas of pain. And there's so much pain that I have transmuted within myself, as just as many of you have gone through that courageous journey within, and the amount of stuff that we've bundled up and the amount of stuff that we've had to suppress and depress within. And as this Magdalene voice has arisen, it can't be suppressed anymore. So I really wanted to just welcome and let it be, because it is in that beingness that we are allowing, and this is part of that representation as well. I chose curly hair in this incarnation, though I've never really fully embraced it, because again, like I said, the way it makes me feel, it doesn't make me feel good. It's a way too much expanded energy, and when I blow dry it straight, it feels like I'm more centered and grounded, and that feels better for me because I'm a trans medium, I'm a trans channeler, and I experience so much multidimensionally. What I see like visibly with my naked eyes, multidimensional is so much. I've had to learn how to um, just live with that. So I don't want any more because I want to be able to function properly. So that's why. And at the same time, not denying any part of myself, embracing it to letting the wildness be what it is. So let me see what you all have been saying. Dimitri says you've been very tired and lighter. Yeah, that happens. Sometimes we're tired and expanding at the same time. Uh, Demetrius, you had curly hair? Seriously? You have to put a picture for us. I want to see your curly hair. Totally. Of course, you're a lion. I would love to know that. So let's see. I feel it's kind of hard to talk and also drink my tea. So I'm going to put the talking stick down for a while, as I like to get into a couple of areas. So some of you may have seen that I posted this link today. This weekend, this Monday particularly, is the Magdalene Feast. The Magdalene Feast, some of you may or may not know, it really began because of the amount of like the Cathars that were slaughtered in south of France when the Roman Catholic gave that order. There was this entire area that was the feminine Christ teachings that Mary Magdalene had brought to south of France, and these were all slaughtered, all slaughtered. And so then the teachings went into deep hiding within the mystery schools, and very secret it became to share the knowledge and the material, because Mary Magdalene was a high initiate in the Egyptian schools of alchemy. And there's quite a bit of information around this. And there's this sort of consciousness on the planet and the rise of the Magdalene. A couple of areas that I want to talk about this. So last year, about a month before this July 22nd, I had in them, and to take him through an experience of meeting her. Oh, what happened? And taking individuals into an experience, into a journey of meeting her, so she can bring certain presence to each participant. And that's how the circle began. For those of you who are on our Sacred Magdalene Divine Heart page, Divine Circle page is that. And then from there, anything and everything to do with Mary Magdalene, her sacred teachings, her mystery schools, those who are the forefront, bringing the knowledge, creating the retreats, sharing the sound vibrations and what have you of the Magdalene, to share it on there. And also the gathering. So last year was so magical. Then we had the Goddess 1000 Goddess Gathering, and as Michael and I, from last year, we went to south of France, and we were dedicated to the Rose Line and the Rose Dragon Line, doing our work in south of France, from Rennes-la-Chette to Saint-Marie-de-la-Mer to Ascension, to La Bine, all the water areas, and particularly the Lovers Fountain, where the baptism used to take place with Mary Magdalene. So there was a lot that took place, and we went there. Then we took everything to Glastonbury, then brought it here, then anchored the energies here in Washington D.C. on 1111 StarGate, and which we had the gathering, and that was the retirement of my planetary work. And there are a couple of things that I'm still facilitating, but that was really a completion of this 7 years intensive planetary work, from one place to another place to another place to another place. Anyway, so having said that, that's how the page created, and now we're coming to a year later. And the last few years before last year, I had gathering for the Sacred Divine Feminine, for the rise of the Sacred Divine Feminine. That's where I'm really, really dedicated to. And I used to run the Red Tent Goddess circles in DC. We had a monthly gathering, and I had a room dedicated to. It was set up like just a goddess room with all red drapes and what powerful teachers that came to teach the ancient sacred teachings of the divine feminine. So, and everything with this is regarding around this energy of the rose, because there are many mystery schools that has to do with the rose mystery schools. There are many different colors of them, those that present the different, including some of the ancient sacred practices in Egypt. And that's what I was then guided to bring it back here. And everything I share is not from anything I read, not from following anybody, directly receiving from Mary Magdalene, from Mother Mary, the Magdalene Consciousness, as well as Isis that you call herself. So there's a lot of direct information that comes in, and they show me things. So that's what I bring forward. Anyway, so having said that, so this year as we coming up on Monday for it, I'm not having the Magdalene Circle on Monday because Monday is kind of hard to gather everywhere. So ours is Sunday, and I won't get into what will take place because those who are coming, they get to experience it. This is cricket, and they will go through a beautiful self initiation that will take him into, and a very very sacred anointing ceremony. I've been um, blessed with this to pass the knowledge forward and allow that connection of the golden white rose to be initiated within. So we'll be bringing that forward. And there's a part as Michael was supposed to be having his male circle, sacred men circle, take part, but because most of them are on travel, so it's just going to be Michael. And I said, isn't it incredible that Michael is going to receive all of this from all the women? And that's exactly where he's positioned, because he's constantly positioned. Majority of the people that seek him for his private healing are here women that are clearing so much. They're one part clearing for themselves. They're also clearing on their ancestry line. They're also cleaning on a planetary level. And that's all part of the Magdalene frequency that is rising on Earth. And I want to really speak to this for a second because it's very important. So it was obviously perfectly divine that he'll be here and he'll receive this, because he has to be in that sacred masculine divine presence to face these embodiments that have endured so much pain and suffering for many lifetimes, so that they can transcend that within them, so the voice of the Magdalene can come in. So those of you who feel connected to the Magdalene line, whether it's the Magdalene Rose line, whether it's the sisterhood of the Magdalene, whether it's the Magdalene consciousness, whether it is the sacred order of white dove, or any of those. And some of the individuals, I also want to talk about this because let me finish this and then get into that. If you connect into it, because inside of you there is been a software that has been implanted before you took embodiment, for you to take part, whether in the female form or male form. It doesn't matter of your form, whether you're binary, whether you're transgender, whether you are, homosexual or heterosexual. It's completely irrelevant. Some of you, whatever body garment you're coming in, if you're connecting to Mary Magdalene, is because there's a fragment of soul chart that is placed in you before you come in to help take part in the rise and the voice of the Magdalene onto earth. This is part of the golden age, it's part of the feminine golden Christ. It's the Christed being, not Jesus the Christ. Jesus became the Christ. Yeshua became crystalline. This is to rise in the Christedness, in that crystalline frequency, which I've talked about quite a bit. And so, as a result of this, this is the next part that I want to mention. In my travels in so many different countries and also private settings, one of the things that I've faced so much is the amount of women that have come to me privately, opening up, sharing that, honey, I want to tell you something in private. I said, tell me. And I already know what is about to be said, because in 7.5 years, I can tell you at least more than 100 women have said this to me. That and I'm so honored that they feel so open to say this. They've come to me and say, honey, I was Mary Magdalene. I was married to Jesus. And I listened to them and hold them, just love them. I don't say anything. So imagine there's like over 100 people I've met over these 7 years in my travels, that the woman, they feel they are actually Mary Magdalene incarnated here. And so, the first one I met was amazing, but she lived in a lot of fear. Second one I lived, amazing, again, a lot of fear. But powerful woman. And it was so interesting seeing one after another after another. Then I also had the amount of women that would come say, honey, I am Sarah, Jesus' daughter, or I am so and so, Jesus' sister, or I am Mother Mary incarnated, or I mean, the amount and amount and amount of individuals that I met in my 7.5 year travel. I was like, isn't this incredible? And I also had several people come to me and say, honey, I know who you are. And I was like, okay, go ahead. Who do you think I am? You're Mary Magdalene. You've reincarnated here. That's where you're Michael. You have to carry the Magdalene. You know, you're supposed to be Magdalene Yeshua. So it's quite fascinating to see this, hear this, and and I just embraced it with so much love in my heart. And what I want to speak to that is, so for those of you that may not know, I had studied with Dolores Cannon, and that is with the QHHT, quantum hypnosis therapy and healing. And this is when I took individuals to past life regression beyond. So I got a chance to meet, to experience their lives in their past lives and watch it like a movie, hear their story, then take them to past life, then call upon their oversoul, higher self come in and speak to me. And what is so incredible about that is that I facilitated over, I would say, 700 cases over 7 years, over 5 years, the amount of people that I facilitated. And within that also, I saw many individuals when they would go into past life, they would go drop and straight into the life of when Jesus walked on earth, and the amount of material coming in. They were, one of the disciples, or they were one of the helpers. They were part of the 70 carriers of the voice. They were part of the Sacred Order of White Rose. They were part of the Sacred Order of White Dove. They were the Knight Templars. Like the amount of people that I met, they would drop into these lives. And the people that also would drop in that, I had a few, sorry, this is loose here, that would go into the life, they were Mary Magdalene. So I said, isn't this fascinating? Having said that too, I also got a chance to, I felt so blessed to recognize the person coming. There's another level. And when I would ask the higher self, I knew, because I was receiving the guidance, that there were galactics. They're coming from certain planes, certain dimension and councils. And I would ask politely from the higher self if the higher self can step on this side, because I could see the presence, another presence coming, and they would do so. So I get a chance to meet beings from 19th dimension, 33rd dimension, 44th dimension, 72 is the highest I met. And they would give me specific coordinates and where they were praying, what ray of light they were, and what systems they lived in, and why they had contacted me. And that this is really the reason why I stopped facilitating our QHHT sessions, because when I was in that state, I would go so deep into the transmedium myself, and I knew at some point I couldn't hold both frequency as the practitioner, bring them out, because that presence was beginning to interact with the presence coming in. So I had to put it aside, and I stopped all of that about 3.5 years ago. Anyway, I'm wrapping this around. So point being, so over these years on travel, and also over the amount of QA sessions that I facilitated, I met a lot of people who had some kind of, not just a connection, they had felt they were the reincarnate of Yeshua, or Mother Mary, or Isis, or Ishtar, or Inanna, or Artemis, or let's say Sekina, or Sekhmet, or Joan of Arc. There were many of these goddesses reincarnate. There were also, or Gayatri, or for example, Sophia. There's just so many of them. And they also had the ones that felt they were one of the disciples. They were Paul or John or Matthew and what have you. So one of the things that began to take place is that recognition. Many individuals have these fragments of their soul. So some of us that came from the area specifically, we're part of a 12 family. So looking for my other 11, some of the other ones I've met, there are a few more I have to meet. So we're part of this 12 tribe, and the 12 tribe work with the other 12 tribe, and that's where it goes to the 144. And this 144 work with the other ones that becomes part of the 144,000. And there's this unity of divinity, of the divine union, of the sacred divine masculine, sacred divine feminine on the planet. And Yeshua and Mary Magdalene represented that divine union in the anchoring of this golden frequency of light, the feminine and the masculine Christ, which represents the unity Christ consciousness. And that's why so many of us on the planet, we are part of the golden age. We incarnated into these garments to bring the golden frequency in the golden era forward. And as a result of it, there's this golden rose. Those of us who are connected deeply to Yeshua, not Jesus, Yeshua and Magdalene specifically, we're part of bringing that gold frequency forward. And it is the alchemized state that has transcended. And what's so important about this is that many who are carriers, who are, incarnated into the female body, they decided to have the keys of the Magdalene keys and codes inserted in them, and then come into earth to ignite it and bring it. But in order for them to ignite it, bring it forward, they have had to have soul agreements to go through very um, shadow experiences to ignite the light and light that shadow and bring it up, because this is the representation of the rose. You have to know what the rose symbolizes and what the rose signifies in order, when you see this rose, the rose bud, you don't see it in a blossom state. And this is so significant because it has the thorn and everything in it. And the rose, once it's blossomed, it's become alkalized, it's Christed. So it is so important that we, as those who've incarnated into the feminine, we came to bring this way forward to be able to go into places through the power of the Magdalene consciousness and to rise that frequency, to transmute that density into light and really take it through our bodies and free ourselves from that shadow and to become the golden arisen frequency of this particular crystalline diamond. And so as a result of it, many of us connect to Mary Magdalene. We feel we're part of it. We've lived in Egypt. We've been there. We've been initiated in the mystery schools. Whether we have gone in this incarnation to Egypt, it doesn't matter. It's from many lifetimes. We have the knowledge. We have the keys and the codes inserted in us. And when we are activated, we're able to bring it forward. And the bringing forward of it has to do with our voice. The voice is everything, because you have to understand the Magdalene voice has been suppressed, oppressed, shut down, depressed for eons. And this is very, very important. You cannot fully bring the Magdalene voice. The Magdalene voice represents the sacred rose represents the voice of the Magdalene. So that means we as the woman have had to rise. And it's not this, oh, love, love, love. This is what really bothers me. Let me see, Demetrius, what you said. Oh, hi, David Dodson. Love you. Like a 1,000 petal lotus flowers. Exactly. So let me just step back, because the sacred brothers like Demetrius, like David, like Michael, they're all part of this. So as Yeshua brought that unconditional love, Mary Magdalene went deep inside. Her initiation was to take the dirt and bring it into the light. So we as women, we are incarnate into these female bodies, or whatever transgender bodies, even binary bodies, it doesn't matter. The energy of the sacred divine feminine is still within, the energy of the sacred divine masculine is still within. We have to be able to go into areas. We have to be able to see the areas that are our shadows. And that's the shadow pork, to bring it up into our womb and release it, release the womb that is connected to Earth's pain. And that's what releases the frequency of Gaia's new birthplace, which is all golden and crystalline and diamond. So we cannot do it without going through these bodies, and the emotional body is so important. So Mary Magdalene is so connected to the bodies of water. Let me explain this a little further, because like there's an initiation that I'll be doing on Sunday that has to do with water, the rose water that we get to drink. This is very, very important. These are some of my holy waters that I have. Let me show you. These are into my some of my sacred practices, the sacred oil that will be used in the initiation for the anointing ceremony as well. And the rose, if you don't have a rose, no problem. You can also infuse it with your thought, heart, intention. This is very, very important. As you drink that, you infuse that frequency into you, and it gives you the power to face the shadows must be met. So again, I do not resonate with this, oh, love, dove. Yes, of course, that's important. But when it is just in the etheric, it's not brought into the bodies, the different bodies and the emotions, the energies or emotions are not faced. They're kind of like bypassed. This crystalline diamond frequency of the rose cannot fully be brought from inside out. The petals of the rose inside cannot fully be open, and there are dragons such as Archangel Gabriel's dragon that works with this. There is also the pink dragon of Kuan Yin that works with this, and there are a few other, the Christ dragon that works with the opening of these. And it cannot be open until it is faced. The bodies are clear. That's why the water is so important part of this. That's why they had baptism, but it's Christianized, or there's a whole different understanding. The sacred divine feminine would do the baptism around water from a whole different purification that it's not even covered. We'll be doing a little bit of that on our gathering this Sunday. So what I wanted to share is that it has to come to the core, whether you're in female incarnation, whether you're male incarnation, until you do not bring into the core, the voice cannot open up. This voice spark is to open up, and the truth of the Magdalene voice spoken from all of our hearts, from our 33 petals of this golden light, for every single one of us, so we can bring the true unity Christ forward. And we can't do it if we're suppressing, if you're denying, like what happened in my teenagers, what happened in our childhood, what happened, and not face it, sort of like suppress it. That doesn't work, because that's what's allowed the suppression of the voice. And our fire has been, our flame has been also suppressed with it. This voice, the sound box is connected to our flame. Our flame and this are very much connected. The lower the flame that is right here, that gives rise to this air energy, the less is this voice, but the voice of the truth can be spoken. And that's when the energy then suppresses back in here without it being expanded, so the golden rose cannot fully be radiating. So there's so much more around this, literally around the technology of it, because it is a living technology. And this technology is very delicate, because there is a spinning vibration of the actual golden mean, the golden ratio that spirals around. So each of the 12 chakras are spinning. And these 12 chakras, within the first set of the chakras, then we have the other 11 chakras that each of them have 12. So again, there are 144 dimensions. Each dimension have 12 chakras in them. And so massive is happening, but we haven't activated all of those yet because on the planet, we're not quite there yet. Right now, what I'm doing with the diamond code crystalline light bodies, I'm working with the 12 chakras, the 7 main ones that have been, and then the other 5. So those are the 12 that are outside the body, and this connects to the 12 rays of light, and this connects to the activation of the DNA 12 strings and strands. So to carry the frequency, moving it from this carbon to its crystalline structure. So there's quite a bit around the technology of it, because once we're anchored, activated in it, the living codes of light already in there, the Magdalene codes are in there, the Yeshua codes are in there, then they become accessible in their presence and in their expression. The expression is in our creation, and it is in the spoken because it carries certain frequency. And as we're speaking, there's a frequency around the voice that is coming in that is allowed to bring the transmissions through. So that's what it is. So some of you, when you see if my hands start moving, you'll see things are happening around, because that's usually what happens. Do you have any questions? Does this make sense? I just want to know, for those of you who are watching. Andrew, you said it. Oh, good. So David says it resonates deeply. Thank you. Angela, thank you. Demetrius says, I resonate. Okay, thank you so much for hearing that. David, yes, makes sense. Been feeling this. Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, all of you, for giving the feedback. I really appreciate that, because that way we're having this communication with each other. So, having said all of this, this 22 energy on Monday represents again another gateway, represents the anchoring of this four directions. The 4 directions is important. And I want to just for a second talk about my personal experience on the land with the Magdalene. So let me share this with you. So these past 5 years that I was positioned in south of France for around Fall Equinox, and for 9/9 portal Fall Equinox, so much, whether I was in Magdalene Cave or whether I was in Saint Marie de la Mer, where she arrived by the boat with Yeshua, things I don't talk about so much. Thank you, Eli. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Wendy, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. So these past 5 years, this year we will not be there. This year we position elsewhere when we leave. We're actually going to be here for Fall Equinox, which is kind of interesting, and then we leave. This year has shifted around, and I understand why, and more is unfolding. So, having said that, yes, Lion's Gate is coming out. So, let me just speak to this on this 22 vibration, which is on Monday. We, with my private circle, with the Magdalenes that are gathering, there's the Magdalenas. The Magdalenas, we're going to be taking part with the water, with the initiation, with the ceremony, with the voice, with the activation, with the crystalline, to be able to take part together with many different circles that is part of this rise, the rise of the Magdalene consciousness. The Magdalene consciousness is a group of light beings that are part of the race of the feminine Christ frequency. The masculine crystalline has been on earth, but it's been from the imbalanced toxic masculine. And the feminine Christ that is coming in is bringing the sacred divine feminine frequency, but it has to have the voice, because the voice has been so suppressed. That's why it's so important. Many more women are given the opportunity to speak, And you'll see so many women coming up doing a lot of live streams, videos, and what have you, because this voice can no longer be held back. And it ties back to what I shared earlier. On a soul plane, many of us that chose to incarnate to take part of a fragment of the Magdalene soul into us, to awaken the codes within us, awaken the rose codes within us, and then be able to anchor it on earth during this golden age, to really start the golden age, particularly within the photonic belt that we just entered to, that is the next 2000 years. So there is quite a bit of what we're allowing through the rays of light within us coming forward. And so the voice is a huge part of it. Going back to September and the fall equinox that I was positioned in south of France, there were many times that we were on the land. I had to be in bodies of water to help purify the water. So these 7 years, a lot of my work on the land with planetary healing, together with the Arcturian higher councils, together with beloved Yeshua, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, then the higher team, especially the ancient white dragons, so much revolves around purification of water. And this water, for it to become rosaline, rosaline has to do with crystalline. And this is any body of water to be able to bring the prayers into the water, because the water of the planet all together connect to the water consciousness in the etheric plane of the Magdalene voice. And that is what's being purified, not just on Earth, but is being purified in many other planets and star system, because there is this washing through the grace of divine mother creator that is spinning this vortex to bring through sort of the purity, if you want to call it that. And it's beautiful what's been shown to me, and those who feel that are part of it, that's why they resonate, they pull it in, and we're able to bring it forward in our own unique divine expression. This is why it's so important that I always invite people, be inspired by what I'm saying, but be sure to bring your own creativity. Be sure to bring your own vibration. Do not copy me. Please, you will, I mean, this has been for a long time shared. I am only dedicated to that in which the creative expression of that divine crystalline has to come in. You also have to bring it in yourself, which is very, very important. The voice of the truth connects us all, and each of this, there's one ultimate truth, and all of us are part of the rise of that truth, and it is in unity of the sacred divine feminine, sacred divine masculine, and it's the unity consciousness in the crystalline that we're bringing it through. So the bodies of water are a huge part of it, because we have to purify the water system of our physical garment. Let me see the comments here. I wanted to see. Thank you, Caitlin. What is the start time and the end time of the fall equinox? Oh, Caitlin, this is way later. I don't have that information, my love. I'll share it later. Oh, Laura Rose. Love cannot be bound by distant. Truth cannot be bound by distant. Truth is within. That's true. Laura Rose, thank you for your name, Rose. And David will carry parts of the puzzle. Exactly. So each of us are part of that divine plan. And each of us are a petal of this ginormous crystalline golden white rose. I am dedicated for years to bring forth the activation of the crystalline rose is the best I can call it, because that's what I'm dedicated to. It is the rose line. The rose line is the grid around Earth that is coming from Lemuria. Some of it was deactivated after Atlantis, and this is to bring bring it back. It is the sacred divine feminine energy to bring it back. But the divine feminine energy is the one that meets all its shadow. And this is often it's misunderstood, because there's this idea, if I'm if I'm feeling these darkness, if I'm feeling these heaviness, if I'm feeling this lethargic state, if I'm feeling these disharmonies, something's wrong with me. On the contrary, that's exactly the power of the sacred divine feminine that can go so deep into that womb, into the darkest, deepest place, and bring the light into it. And some of us who are in the forefront line, we are the ascension pioneers, we are the leaders of it. We have been contracted on a soul plane to sign up for the heaviest of the heaviest of the heaviest and the darkest scenarios, to be placed in really heart-wrenching um, encounters, so we can bring the light into it. That's why, like, it's so important to move from this victim consciousness. This happened to me, this happened to me, I can't get over it. You've got to tap into that sacred divine feminine power and rise from your ashes, so you can become arisen in your sacred flame, to be able to own it and then bring it, because we have to open the space up for the sacred divine masculine to completely lead and rise. So this is why the work is so much together. And sometimes I tell Michael, because Michael sometimes tells me, I can't understand the level of anger you have. I said, how can you not understand that? I've incarnated here to transform this energy. I feel it inside of me from what I stand up. My ancestry line, also the Middle East where I incarnated into. Then planetary level, like this deep work, you better believe it has anger in it. And that anger has to transmute. That means I cannot suppress it. I cannot deny it. It has to be addressed. Every part of it has to be addressed, because that anger is bringing knowledge and information, and is bringing the area that has been unjust, which has to do with Magdalene energy, to voice it. It has been depressed. It has to be voiced by the Magdalene energy, to, instead of this depression, to bring it in the rise. It's been suppressed, again it has to be voiced. So the voice, the communication is so important, and to be able to give permission for it to be spoken. And I feel a lot of women, still many of my friends, I still see they're very uncomfortable in speaking the truth. And I come from a family, my mother till this day, she says, if you want to have a man, you can't tell your total truth to him. So all the time, if I'm mad at Michael, I can't even talk to my mother. She comes from her consciousness. She comes from very patriarchal consciousness. If you want to keep your man, you never talk back to him. You never say anything. You will never express your truth. I mean, it couldn't be more opposite than me. And so I had to come in that incarnation where, even in a very difficult upbringing childhood, she couldn't voice it, because my dad was a very violent man on top of everything. So she still holds on to that. So she's been passing that on, and I've had to break that. No, I am going to voice my truth. I'm going to tell my deepest, darkest shadows. I'm going to communicate everything I have, whether, you know, it is being heard or not, it doesn't matter. It's giving me the opportunity to totally communicate, so I can give rise. If I clear this within myself, I'm able to do it for myself. I'm able to do it for my mother, grandmother, aunts, that great grandmothers that weren't able to do it. And then I'm also able to do it for many incarnations that I wasn't able to do it, and also the collective energy. And that's how this deep goes. So when you go in this place through the power of your sacred divine feminine, and then you're able to, again, doesn't matter if you're in a human male form or female form, binary, transgender, it doesn't matter. But when you're able to go in, that's the power of the Magdalene consciousness that gives you the ability to go so deep inside. And tap into that rose and allow it to come out, to voice it so that the rose petals open up in you and you're unapologetic. You speak your truth, and the truth is coming from here because it's so grounded in your womb and it's so grounded into the codes, the living libraries of Sophia. The Sophia Garden is the vibration of Gaia's fifth dimensional frequency, where the living libraries are accessible, that are communicated freely and easily. And each of us are part of this sort of bringing it forth. So today I posted this funny link. Let me see on my excuse me, on my Facebook. Underneath this that says Jesus and the Sinful Woman. You get a chance to see this YouTube link. So of course I have to hold myself back when I hear this, because the amount of programming and conditioning that has been placed around Mary Magdalene, the sinful woman she was, and how she was a whore and a prostitute, even though the Catholic Church has about 3 years ago declared her as a saint, the 13th apostle. We still have a long way to go, but again, it's been this idea because Yeshua washed her 7 deadly sins, and because her chakras were activated, and she was a high priestess in the ancient mystery schools of Egypt and the Isis temple. So she's bringing this knowledge because the power is so incredible. It is so suppressed to, again, this sort of like belittling, there's so many words that I don't even want to say. So the collective consciousness still has this idea, and that's why it's been so heavily suppressed. And then here we are bringing her presence, her voice, her truth, her love, her incredible frequency onto the planet. And those of us like in this channel, we're bringing her presence forward in the grace she represented, in the truth, because we're the carriers of the Magdalene code. We're the carriers of the rose code. We're the carriers of the crystalline golden white rose to bring these forward. So these are some of the things that have been sitting in me, because this 22nd energy with her feast, we're washing away so much of the pain of this the cathars that were slaughtered. And that energy has to pass, because that's still suppressing so many of us to speak our truth. And also ties to the Hathors, the Hathor voice of the galactic. So there's this voice of the Magdalene with here that are so coded, that is also connected with the Pleiadians that want to speak it. The Arcturians work very closely with this too, and the Syrians as well. Angela, your name is, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. So this rose is very important. Let me show you what I did from the StarGate summer solstice event we had. These are some of the flowers that we use. I painted them gold. So they're now at our altar doing their magical work for Michael and I. And we are part of the Sacred Order of White Rose. And we're here to bring that consciousness onto the planet. And from here, we go to 88 StarGate. The 88 StarGate is going to be incredible, because this alignment through the Syrian StarGate is such a huge part of, again, where the voice of the Magdalene has to come in. It was the dark star. And there's been so much around this that had taken part, also the suppression of the sacred divine feminine. And now these gates that have opened up is the rise of the sacred divine feminine through the mystery schools, through that alignment that is opening up. And that's why we're still in this window of the Stargate. So much is taking place because as the fields are spinning and vibrating, it's giving rise, rise, rise for each petals to open up from its bud state, and be hearted, be nourished, be watered, be baptized by our own sacred holy water, by this golden liquid light, so it opens up. And then we go to the 9-9. You have to understand all of these are picking up, picking up, picking up. The 9-9, we're going to do a full completion because we have to start it and get us all ready for 2020. Nobody's going to be left behind. So don't think like, oh my God, if I didn't do it right. No, all it requires, you don't need to know the technical things. Can you courageously sit with your presence? Can you bring love to your presence? Can you love every shadow part of yourself? Can you accept if you're angry? Can you accept if you're sad? Can you accept when you're in despair? Can you accept when you're pissed off? Can you accept and just bring love to it and not make up anything? It's like something's wrong with you and something's right with you. It's coming up so you can heart it. You have to bring your own I am presence light, your own higher presence love into this area to heart it so that the golden rose in you opens up. It is a self journey. And as each of us do it, we're opening up the collective energy within the universe of the golden rose. I hope this makes really sense to you. Let me see what David said. To be a witness through the timelines remaining open to see beyond the perceived astral to see the bigger picture. Yes, exactly. I've been taking a lot of photos and videos of different colors of the rose. Thank you, Demetrius. I've been seeing that. Thank you. Honoring all past. Yes, totally. It is so important. It is so, so, so important. And Ascension symptoms will be coming up. Like, or for those of you who are just joining in, one of the things I said, I have let go completely of full moon, completely of new moon, complete anything to do with moon resonance, and that fabricated galactic disharmony that was created from eons ago with this artificial placement of the moon to control the sacred divine feminine. I've let go of it, and some of these retrograde sort of like planets going into retrogrades, all of that, I pay no attention to any retrograde because I tap into, I feel there's this gift in it, and I'm not going to give my energy to the hysteria of the collective consciousness that gets all paranoid or gets freaked out about the retrogrades. I've let go of Mercury for years now, and it's been more recent. I let go of the moon after all these years, and my system vibrates so much easier now that even though I'm going through my menopause, the changes, but it no longer impacts me the way it is because I've let go of that programming. That programming has been deleted out of my system. And there are a few other programs that was placed after Atlantis and also through quite a bit of Anunnakis. I've just completely erased that out of my system. So I just don't buy into it anymore. And I'm focused on the purity flame, the crystalline white rose, and the codes of light, and all of this that has to do with the planetary ascension. The rest of it, I don't mind. Yes, and your water, thank you, Demetrius. Drinking water, you can really infuse it with golden rose frequency, and just as you drink it, visualize a golden rose frequency placed into it and drink it, so that way the golden rose codes are really working with you and they begin to become present into your experience. So this, I don't feel I'll be able to video what's going to take place on my Magdalene Circle page, but we'll do what we need to do. Maybe we'll be sharing a bit of knowledge, maybe partial video later, and we we will be coming to South Carolina for 11/11, and that will be all dedicated back into our community there, and that will be completely dedicated to the Golden White Rose, as we'll be in Europe in a few places and then bringing the frequency back into the States. So I feel that's good. So let's see if anybody has anything to share. Let's see, Belinda, you're saying, is it acknowledging the retrograde but not letting it affect you? I feel it's a personal thing. Thank you for asking that, Belinda. I don't even acknowledge the retrograde. For me, the planets are going into the movement as they are, and my frequency is focused predominantly on this frequency in this now. So my attention is not going into the outside of the planetary alignment. I hope that makes sense. For me, it's very much in this now, in the human environment, how much of this crystalline purity flame I can radiate within my day and every day, and regardless of what is happening in the transits. Because a lot of times what's happening in the transits give us a distraction to not focus within. And I feel whatever is happening in the transits, I'm experiencing it in real time right here. I want to focus right here in this now, in my human environment. No disrespect to it, in full recognition that it is there, but right here, right now, how much of the light codes, living libraries within me can I bring forth? So that means my daily practice, being very conscious, and in my active choices, what I'm bringing through. So hopefully that makes sense. So thank you, Demetrius. Yes, I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. David, energies present to truth and yet not bound by them. Exactly. Wendy says, from my perspective, retreat is a time, inner work, more feminine. It's not outer time. That's fine if you feel that way within this timeline. And yes, planet is one of the layers, not ultimate truth. Yes. Yes, honey, nothing trumps union with the divine and sacred. Yeah, that's the whole point. Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you for that. The one point that I want to share is we have been giving our power away for so long. Our power by the outside forces, whether it's planetary alignment, whether it's chemtrails, whether it is political situations, whether it's earthquakes and what have you. Yes, all of these things are happening. The true gift is how much are we able to hone in, anchor in, surrender in, allow within the divinity and the light of our love within ourselves, and bringing it to each area of our inner shadow that shows up within ourselves. Some of these outside influences will influence the rise of our shadow. So I'm more focused, where is what's rising within all of my bodies so I can hurt it. Just like some of you may have watched the 1 week my ear was closed, cluttered. I didn't feel there was anything wrong. Again, I didn't identify it as something was wrong with me. I said, wow, there's a gift for me to receive. Let me just really dive in this space. So by closing, I was able to discover so much within that I wrote about so much. Some of you can go and see what was shared and not be concerned. And of course, it's around some of these eclipses. And again, I'm focused in this now, while all of these are happening, yes, but in my human environment, how much am I able to be so present in here and not victimize that I was an unwanted child, all this shit happened to me, what a heart-wrenching life it's been, I'm still not functioning fully. None of that. To own my sovereign beingness, that there's always something has been right with me all along. Society, our conditions have molded me to feel, believe, think, and leak all the sacred energies to be disempowered, to be victimized, to be all of that. So there's this claiming back of all these energies that have leaked back in. And that's the power of the rose. The power of the rose calls it in, owns it in, takes it into the womb, and it is from celebration and joy, not from suffering. If you're staying still in suffering, yes, cry it out, release it, feel it, release it. But when you're staying in suffering, you're still staying in the victim, that something happened to you, not that, wow, you signed up for this because you are powerful enough to light it, to love it, to bring your divine into it. So that's where is what I feel resonates truth to me. Take it for if it resonates with you and toss it out if it doesn't. But that's where I'm being called to empower others so that they can truly be anchored in both of their presence and bring their voice truth. So let me see. Okay, Blenda Mate says, thank you. Angela, it's all in you anyway, right? It is totally. Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you. Demetrius, the mark of a great soul is one who can stay calm in all times, even when everything's not falling. Inner self mastery. Yes, it is the inner self mastery. And if you have a shit fit, that does not make us a fallen soul. I really want to speak to that. If you get angry and you have a tantrum, it does not make you less divine. You're tapping into a presence that's been suppressed. Now it can finally be rise from suppression to ascension. So it no longer has an impact. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Sunshine Live. And I feel this is important because, again, there's this idea that if we're having sort of in our shadow, that's not divine, something's wrong with us. If you are in our that's a very important part of us. It's just like a rose, the thorn is a part of the rose, the bud is part of the rose. So the ultimate state, there's stages. The ultimate state is this blossom stage. And we have to embrace all of it because all of it is part of the divine. So that's what I'm really sharing. The art of the self-mastery is not to deny any part, embrace it all, and anchor it with the highest light of love when you have the power to really do it. Sometimes you have the power, and sometimes you don't in that moment. And that is still okay. That's what I want to share. So, yes, owning your divine sovereignty is owning that you are a perfect presence of the sparkling ray of light. You're of purpose, you're of service. And at each given time, there's an entire frequency of light that is assigned to you to help you radiate through the petals of your rose. What we're going to do this weekend is also activating the qualities of the rose of each of the 12. That's going to be very powerful because each of them have their own radiance. And the more we tap into it, the more we're able to radiate it. And some days we wake up, we're better, and some days we're not. And it becomes the art of the love that is given to the presence, to that higher self that is coming in, to give it to all these areas so this presence can come in. The true golden rose can come in and radiate. And that's being Christed. We're all getting there. We are becoming the Christ. And that's a true celebration. And that voice, that sound is not that. So thank you so much for being on today and in our sharing. Let me know if you have any questions. And I just feel, let me see for a moment. I feel, by the way, I wanted to share this chocolate. This is a chili maple chocolate we got from Toronto. My goodness, it's quite incredible. Really incredible. So for all of you, if you like, let me see if I can bring some of this light code transmissions of the rose in for us. Go ahead and place your hands in your heart so you can breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in a white rose into you and breathe out a golden rose on your outer breath. Let's do that a couple of times. And watch all around you become this frequency of white golden rose expanding through your breath in all areas. Placing your hands in your hearts, breathing in this inner invocation that I am a golden Rosalie. I am a Christed Rosalie. I'm a roseting light. I am a white golden rose light. I'm a rose from my ashes into the rose that I am. Breathe in, breathe out. Place one hand in your womb, one hand in your heart, one hand in your root chakra or your womb, one hand in your heart, allowing the circling vibration of the rose to circulate all around you in the petals. Parayayat muratu, upanat miratu, upanat mirat haratu, upanat miyahadamu, upanat miyat miratu, upanat mayat hiratu, upanat miyat murat huratmu, upanat miyat hiratu, upanat miyat muratu, upanat miyat murahu, upanat miyat hiratu. Upurat me, upurat me, upurat me, murahu. Some of you may experience the golden petals of your rose opening and spinning in your heart chakra, and it's spinning and vibrating. It is spiraling upwards and is spiraling downwards. Let the spiraling energy of the gold continue to spiral up, allowing all that needs to transcend back into light, and allowing all that is descending down to descend back into the crystalline diamond rose grid of Gaia. Irat mukut like me, tarak me at irat me, kirat me, karat my like me, turak me, turak marat me, like tea, like me, like kurat, mara, karat me, like tirit me, kara, tirak mura kurat marakaya, tea, nina namakaya, larat muakura taramayaki, nikmea tara makura tana tana kara, mara tana lat me, tirak me, utmiraki, nak me, aki, nak me, atki, nak me, ati. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out one more time. And breathing the purity of the white rose into you. And breathe it out. And your next in breath, I want you to breathe in and release the sound that is in this vortex of your golden rosaline heart. Release it out. Breathe it in. and come on slowly back. Open your heart, open your eyes. So what I was seeing was these buds of rose, and they were opening up in the petals and circulating and vibrating, and the parts that were descending, they were ascending up in a golden spiral, and the ones that were opening up from the petals down, they were descending down to earth. And and then the rays of the 12 spectrums of light were moving out through the spiraling energy out to the different bodies and through the different dimensional planes. So I'm curious to see what you were experiencing. Love to hear from you. What did you experience? Thank you, Angela. Yeah, that's a transmission. Hopefully it served you, Sunshine. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Let me know what you experienced for you to ground in that energy. It's important. It's important in that. Thank you. I do love the sound codes that come through the heart and they start spiraling and they take a while to pick up, because as the energy is coming in, it's picking it up to start creating this spiraling energy. Yes, there's a lot of spinning, absolutely, totally, because the vortex is moving, especially through the heart, through the magnetic electric field, it starts to spiral out. Glenda, healing for me, saw rose opening up. Good, I'm glad. Glenda, thank you so much for that. Yes, it's very healing. I just wanted to bring this forward because what we're going to this weekend, and Rita has an event, my sister, Reverend Anna Jones has an event. There's so many people on the planet have event. I have my in-person event. It's not going to be live streamed. Otherwise, I would have made it available. Maybe I'll record it and make it available later. But the things everywhere so you can dive into it. So with that, if anybody else has any comments, please share it as we go ahead and close up our Ascension talk today. Our Friday tea time. My kid heard your voice. Yeah, that happens. Pets love it too. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in, for receiving, for sharing, for tuning in. Thank you for all of you that are making comments. I so deeply appreciate it. And if this video resonated, please share it. I'm going to make it available in just a minute on the Facebook fan page. Feel free to share it. Demetrius is always so generous in sharing it so it can help others. And because we're all together in this, and the vibration goes out to support others that also could use and benefit. And this is part of us assisting in the rise of the Magdalene voice. So thank you so much. Deep gratitude for showing up, deep gratitude for being, deep gratitude for allowing, deep gratitude for receiving, and deep gratitude for your courageous presence in diving so deep, going into the areas of shadow that most are not willing, for you bringing the Magdalene voice out, the rise of this on the planet. So grateful, so grateful, so grateful. So much love to all of you, and we'll connect in 2 weeks with Michael with our next Friday Tea Time Ascension Talk. Big hug, and talk to you soon.